Hi, I've been asked for some keto recipes, but writing up recipes takes a long time. So I am just going to make a video and kind of breeze through some of the things that I use as far as foods and other kitchen things to do my keto cooking. And hopefully this will be helpful to give you some ideas so that you know what to make for yourself. So I'm going to start with just the pans that I use. Basically, for the most part, I use like a stock pan. This is a Calphalon. Just a nice, all your pans should be nice heavy bottom. And this one's got a lid, so I use it for steaming. This is a great saute pan. Some people might like ones without the high sides, but this works great for me. And this is another really good hard bottom or heavy bottom pan that works great for sauteing and getting mushrooms and fennel and things like that sauteed. And then I have a scan pan. This is like a top of the line scan pan. That's a great egg pan because it really is very, very easy for turning eggs. It's very non-stick. So these are like the three main things I use. You all right? Oh, you look unhappy. And then these are like the main seasonings that I use. This is just a good quality salt, like a Himalayan pink salt. That's what this one is. A garlic salt. And then a few just broad blends. And obviously if someone really loves certain spices, you can use those too. I use some fresh things. I use some fresh basil, rosemary, thyme. But these are kind of my quickies that are go-tos. This Singapore seasoning or some type of kind of a curry-ish seasoning is something that I'll use for fish or for chicken when I want to make things, a little bit different. If I've kind of been in a rut, maybe make it with coconut oil so it kind of has that coconut cream curry type of base. And then dill is something that I'll use primarily in salmon or making salmon patties. So those are like my go-tos. And then the next thing is probably the oils. These are some of my main cooking oils that I use. Well, they're not all cooking. Coconut I generally don't cook with, although it has a pretty high heat point, so you could. Sesame oil is a main one that I cook with. It imparts a little bit of flavor, but not a whole lot. Same thing with avocado, really nice high heat point. Olive oil is a little more sensitive, so I don't cook with it that much. I use it mostly for salad dressings. And then a toasted sesame when I want a little different flavor or want something to have a little more robust flavor that's kind of interesting.
So most of them are Trader Joe's.
Yeah. Most of my food in general is Trader Joe's, so a lot of the things that I'll show will be Trader Joe's, and that's just what I've found convenient for, cost, healthy choices. And then I do go to another health food store. Actually, it's just a big grocery store called Woodman's that has a fairly large natural foods aisle. So I'll use that to get some of the extra oils, and I get the Mark Sisson mayonnaise and salad dressings, and
Paleo
also,
Kitchen, I think it's called.
Yeah, Paleo Kitchen. We can pull a little bit of that out even. This is the Mark Sisson brand Primal Kitchen. And then he also has salad dressings that are great. I make a lot of my own salad dressings too, just by doing an oil, vinegar, and then one of my seasoning blends. And that's great too, usually with just a little bit of balsamic vinegar as well. But a main meal that I use, or some of the main ingredients that I use are like roasted peppers and onions. They're pretty low carb. Now onions do have some carbs, so I have to watch this one a little bit. This is 5 grams of net carbs per cup. So usually I would use about, about 2 cups or about half a packet for my wife and I. Also the straight peppers, because the straight peppers are going to have a little bit less carbs. So if I wanted more of that, if I wanted to use that whole bag, instead I would use half of this bag and half of that bag. I like this chicken of theirs too, because I can take those peppers and onions and this frozen chicken and just throw them all in my big stock pot with a little bit of little bit of chicken broth, and that's going to be a meal in like 10 or 15 minutes. So that's a nice easy staple. Sometimes if I don't want, also with this one, the teriyaki sauce, I just throw it out. So that's what I do with that. The stock, what was I saying about that? Saying I throw it all in the pan, throw it all in the pot, and just warm it all up, and it makes a meal just like that. If I don't want to use that chicken, this is another one that I use. This is a chicken with no added sugar. It's pretty low carb. You'll see that it has like 3 grams of carbs per link. So that's, that's enough that a couple of grams of carbs here, a couple grams of carbs in the peppers and onions. It's not enough to go, it still stays close around that 10 grams of carbs per meal. I like to take these and cut them up and then put them on a little cookie sheet in my toaster oven, because that will give them like a harder texture, a little bit drier texture, to have a little bit of difference between the texture of the sausage and the texture of the onions and peppers and things like that. But sometimes I do it with that other chicken, and that's great too. When I do it with the frozen chicken, sometimes I'll take this sauce, that's another Trader Joe's item, that is pretty darn simple in its makeup. It's got cilantro, canola oil. It's not my favorite oil, but sometimes convenience wins. Jalapeno, chili flakes, garlic, cardamom, sea salt, and cumin. So it has a really unique taste, but it's very spicy, so I only use a little bit of it. And I mix it with mayonnaise, an oil like an olive oil, and a little bit of balsamic, and I'll make like a dressing with it, and I'll put that sometimes in the chicken and peppers and onions, and also in the lettuce. And usually for lettuce, I'll do any combination of a bagged greens mix, let's see what we got. Romaine, obviously, just romaine chopped down to where it starts getting a little too bitter. Sometimes we use some baby kale or spinach, and also, really any other lettuce, or even a little bit of iceberg lettuce if I want some crunch. And for the peppers and onions, sometimes I'll cut up peppers, but it's time consuming. It tastes a little better, but it's time consuming, and frozen peppers are a pretty good frozen vegetable that still tastes good. It's one of the only vegetables I eat frozen. So with the peppers, I'll use leeks instead of onion, because the leeks will have a lower amount of carbs per serving, generally. They're kind of close, so you got to watch either one. Sometimes if I want a little more vegetables in something like that, I'll use a riced cauliflower. Riced cauliflower is a nice way to just add a little something to the meal without really adding any carbs. You're just getting those good sulforaphanes, those good anti-cancer sulfur compounds from the cauliflower, without adding really much at all in the way of carbs. So that's one meal that I make a lot, or a couple variations on it. And then let me just think about another one. 1 second. We could pause that.
Oh,
I didn't mention avocado before, but I'll throw avocado on almost anything, right? It'll go on the salads, it'll go on the cooked meals. If I need some more fat, avocados are really high in magnesium, or potassium, so they're really good during this keto diet, because you need to get your minerals to keep from getting leg cramps and lightheaded and things like that. Bell peppers are also great for making tuna salad, chicken salad, things like that you might eat as a lunch, and then you just cut it along these lines and cut it around the top, and then they come off pretty easily, so that cleaning them is relatively easily, and just knock out the seeds. And then you can use that little cup as what you put your tuna salad or chicken salad in. And usually a tuna salad or chicken salad, I might just put it with some mayonnaise, some of my seasonings, and maybe I'll cut up a little something so there's a little crunch in there, like a little celery. And then these pieces of bell pepper, I'll usually throw them in the toaster oven for a minute, or for maybe 5 minutes, so that they get warm and it breaks them down a little bit and it makes them a little bit sweeter. I'll do that more in the colder weather, but it obviously makes a easy way to eat that chicken salad or tuna salad. And one of the tunas I like is the Safe Catch, because they test every fish for mercury toxicity, and I also find that it tastes excellent. They also make some of these that are flavored, so if you're not real familiar with using seasonings and things like that, you could try some of their flavored tuna. They're really good. And then these I get not at Trader Joe's. Their tuna's okay, but I like this stuff the best. Also, my chicken that is in a can I get from Woodman's in the health food department. I don't have it with me right now, but I don't love the Trader Joe's canned chicken either. So those are nice lunch things, or they could be a dinner. And then snacks. Let's go all the way over to snacks, because snacks, sometimes you want to know what to take with you somewhere to if you're going to miss a meal. These Epic bars are nice. Jenny and I eat those quite a bit. This is a Vermont stick as well. They make a couple of different types of these. This one has some sugar in it. So, not quite ideal, but sometimes in a pinch you do what you have to do. And then that would usually be combined with some nuts and or some coconut oil. And this is a nice thing that Trader Joe's makes. You can find these from some other manufacturers too, but they're just little packets, and you can literally just open it like a little shot of oil and have that along with your protein. So that's just a little bit about snacks. We keep it pretty simple. And then I'll show you one more meal that I'm going to make tonight. I'm going to do fennel. I'm going to chop this up into cubes and cut these mushrooms up a little bit smaller, and I'll saute them both in my heavy pan. And then I will cut these French beans into thirds and steam those, because that'll give them the best. Actually, that way I make sure that I don't overcook them on accident if I just steam them alone. Usually I don't like to use several pans at once, but once in a while I will, because I want to cook something in a certain way. So these I definitely want sauteed, and this I'd rather steam it and get it just right. And then I'll probably take the sausages that I showed earlier, cut those into little pieces about maybe 1/2 inch wide, and put them on a cookie tray in the toaster oven and cook those up that way. Should I say one thing about salads or no?
Oh yeah, salads are amazing. I mean, I don't know there's much to say, but sure.
I mentioned salads already. I usually use just a combination of a romaine and then like some kind of mix, a spring mix or an herb mix. Depends how wonderful the head lettuce is where I'm shopping. So if I'm at a Whole Foods or something, I'll get more of the head lettuce and kale and chard and all that. But along with the salads, if it's kind of a lunchtime salad, I might do some hard-boiled egg on there, along with sometimes it's as simple as just chopping up some lunch meat, chicken. Jenny and I do best with chicken. So that's just kind of easy, and then dress it. If it's more of a dinner thing, I might make a salmon patty where I take a good quality canned salmon and put it in a bowl with an egg and a bunch of dill seasoning, maybe a little salt or garlic salt, and then mix that all up, form it into patties, and fry those, and then just throw it, maybe cut it beforehand. Sometimes I cut it up beforehand, and then throw it on top of the salad. So a salad might have a salmon burger on it. There's a mahi burger that's pretty good from Trader Joe's that I get sometimes. Obviously, you could do any kind of, chicken patty or salmon patty that's nice and clean. I think Trader Joe's also has a nice clean salmon patty. Those are probably the main things that I put on a salad. But salads obviously are wide open. There's lots of things you could do with a salad. Just depends how much effort you want to put into it. I'll often cut up raw bell pepper or some celery or something like that to put a little bit of crunch in there. So that's pretty much what I do for salads. And then I also wanted to talk about a dessert that I make. This is Jenny and I don't do cocoa, so we don't do like chocolate. Obviously there's keto chocolate out there, but we don't really do it. This is something that I make. This is a combination of 2/3 coconut oil and 1/3 cashew butter. You could make it with any nut butter you want. And I do that kind of in a double boiler. I just take a pan, put water in it, and then put my measuring cup in it like this. So I'll do 4 ounces of coconut oil and then 2 ounces of cashew butter. And into that I put about 10 drops or 12 drops of tangerine essential oil. We use Young Living because it's the best. And then about 6 drops of cinnamon essential oil. So tangerine and cinnamon in here. And then some sweetener. And lately what I've been using is a sweet leaf stevia. I've also used the liquid sweet leaf, and I've used some erythritol Lohan combination. But I think my body likes the stevia the best, so that's what I'm using right now. And I just pour them into these little ice cube trays that are cute, and then we have those sometimes if we have coffee. It's a little something sweet we can have with it, or if we want a little sweet after a meal. These are a great little keto fat bomb dessert. So yeah, that's that.